All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies class, I've been going through a series of presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I am currently talking about HTML, which is on structuring the web. So far I've done the getting started, I've done the intro, I've done the getting started, and I'm now what's in the head. So as you can see, I've got these three, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to go for this section. So we're talking about what's in the head section and metadata. As I already mentioned to you, what is shown in the head section of an HTML document is not displayed on the web page itself. Now, they mention in here that it contains things such as the page title, links to one or more CSS files if you have those, links to custom favicons, other metadata. So we're going to talk about that in here. All right. So it says, let's revisit the head section. And that's the head section is, of course, what's right there. So we talked about that in the last episode, or whatever you want to call it, of this. So again, what is shown there in blue are the contents of the head section. Remember, what's in the body section is displayed on the page. What's in the head section is not displayed directly on the page. As they mentioned on the bottom of this paragraph that you can see underneath here, it says the head's job is to contain metadata. Metadata is data about data. In this case, we have just 2 lines. We've got a metadata tag for our character set, and we've got a title tag. Now, there's other things that you can put in here, and as the author says, in larger pages, the head can get quite full. It says, try going out to some of your favorite websites and use developer tools to check out their head contents. Let's not even do it in that much depth, but let's go out to cnn.com. All right, and there it is. I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to choose View Page Source. Now, in here, I'm going to do a search for head. And it says, wow, there's 2,965 different places where it is. But I'm just looking for the actual head itself. So let's come in here and let's look for head. There it is. Well, maybe not. It's got header. The point is this, take a look. If that is it, I'm already 166 lines down. There's a lot of information that's already been put in here. There's the head tag. That's the one I was looking for right there. So there's the beginning. And we're on line 1. There's the end on line 166. So virtually everything that you see in here, almost for these entire first 166 lines in CNN.com is part of the head section. So as mentioned here, this can get a lot bigger. All right. We've already seen the title element in action. True. Can be used to add a title to a document. Okay. Now it says here the H1 element appears on the page when it's loaded into the browser. That is not that H1 element that you see. In fact, there isn't one here, but that is, if we had an H1 element in here, here we have just a P tag, that appears as part of the web page, but it's not part of the head section. All right. So they want us to use an example here. Again, I'm not going to go through this because I think we've already gone through similar things. All right. But let's go in and talk about this meta element. As it says, metadata is data that describes data. HTML has an official way of adding metadata to a document, and that's using the meta element. So far, we've only looked at for our meta element the char set, the character set. And as it says, this element specifies the document's character encoding, the character set that it's going to be using. Notice it says UTF-8 is a universal character set that includes basically any character in any language. All right. So they show an example of using it with Japanese. Totally fine. All right. It says if you set your character encoding to something else, it may look different. So this is valid Japanese, supposedly, and that looks a little bit different. Quite a bit different. Some browsers, as it says, like Chrome, will automatically fix character encoding. So depending on what browser you use, you may not see this problem. That actually brings me up to a point, and it's just something I want to quickly mention to you. All right, and it is implicit versus explicit. Okay, and what's the difference between these? And I'm talking about in the guise of using it with a web page. And so I've got here, as you see on your screen, implicit versus explicit. If something is done implicitly for you, that means just that. It's done for you. It's not done by you. All right. Whereas explicit means it's something that you yourself do. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this, and it's not a great example, but it's one I've used in the classroom before, and that is this. All right. Before the pandemic hit, occasionally, maybe once a month, I would go out, and I'm a frustrated karaoke singer. And I would go out to different places to sing, all right? And some people like my voice, some people don't like my voice. That's not really important. But the important thing is this, that some places that I would go out to, I knew that based on the version of the karaoke song they had, there would be little to no background singing. Everything that was done in there, other than the music, was going to be just me. So there was no implicit wordage that went on. I didn't have anybody in the background. It was just going to be explicitly me. Other places that I went to had a lot of background singing. So really, there was a lot of implicit stuff that was in there. All right. And with that implicit stuff that was in there, I didn't like that. I wanted to be in control. So again, basically, if I'm in control, it's explicit. If the software is in control, it's implicit. I mean, that's my verbiage. I don't know if you're going to actually find that online or in some website or on Google or whatever. This is just the way I look at things. All right. And the reason I'm telling you that is when it says some browsers will automatically, I don't want them to. I want control over my web page. All right. One of the things I like about going and singing, like I told you, when I have no background singing, is if I screw up, it's all on me. That's fine. I can take that. If people like it, it's just my voice and very little to no background. And if they don't like it, it's just, that's fine. But it's just me. But occasionally I'll go to a place that has background singing and it sounds terrible. I don't mean, it's off key or whatever, or it doesn't sound good with my voice. And I don't like that. So I like to explicitly be in control. All right, end of sermon. So adding an author and description. Here's some more things that you can put in here. I'm going to grab these. Rather than using their example, I'm going to go into the one we've been working on. And I'm going to jump. In fact, we don't need this anymore. So I'm going to get rid of that. And let's see. I'm going to come up into my head section. Okay. And under the style tag here, I'm going to add this. Meta, I should really put all my meta tags together. You don't have to do that, but to me it's just a good style because they're all meta tags, so I'm going to move them up and put them with my other meta tags. The order in which you put these do not matter. So for the author, I'm not Chris Mills. I'm Jeff Scott. And the description, I'm going to put in here, this is a website devoted to all things, not to all, to many of the things people like about St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, so what did I just put in there? Well, going back here, it says specifying an author is beneficial in many ways. And you saw I changed it to my name. It says it is useful to be able to understand who wrote the page if you have questions. Some content management systems, also called different CMSs, have facilities to automatically extract author information and make it available. So if you wanted to contact the author, maybe you really liked the page, or maybe there's some way that you thought it could be fixed so that it was better. I don't know. Specifying a description that includes keywords relating to your content of your page can be useful in what's called SEO, or search engine optimization. What does that mean? That means where your website would appear if somebody does a search using Google or Bing or Yahoo. All right. Says the description is also used on the search page and results. So they ask you to come in and add this. All right. This is typically the kind of information that's going to appear in here. So they asked you to put in this. It provides information about open technology. They literally rip that off in here right from the actual site itself. Okay. It also says here some meta tags are not even used anymore. It says that the meta keywords is today pretty much ignored by search engines because spammers were just filling in the keywords with hundreds of keywords. Case in point, and again, it's not done anymore, but I remember reading articles back after 9/11 happened, now 20 years ago just about, and with 9/11, there were sites, they had shown different websites. I think it's shown one example in an article I looked at. I think it was a sporting goods site. And under keywords, they put 9/11 in there. I mean, let's be real. People put 9/11 in there thinking that it would help them get higher on a page. You know, they put that into the keywords. But it can also be used in a negative way because typically what happens is if you still put that in, usually search engines go through and they do what's called spider your website to see if what you're saying in your meta tags is truly what you have on your site. And that was actually hurting people and not helping them. All right. As you travel around the web, it says you will see other types of metadata as well. A lot of features you see on websites are proprietary. It says, for example, the Open Graph Data is a metadata protocol Facebook invented to provide richer metadata for websites. It says if you go into the source code, you'll find this. One effect of this, as it says, is that when you link to MDN web docs on Facebook, the link appears. So all of this stuff will appear. Twitter has something similar, and other places do as well. All right. Now, the next thing that's discussed in here under this adding custom icons to your site, and let's see what do we have after that. Applying CSS and JavaScript is the use of what are called favicons, this custom icon. Favicons are, notice this is the YouTube favicon right there. That is the vital source favicon right there. Right now I'm just getting, I believe that's one, that's a generic one that is set up for, Chrome. Let's see if we search in here. Is there such a thing as a St. Louis Arch favicon? There may be, there may not be. St. Louis Arch favicon in stock images. Okay. And there we see one. Let's grab this one. Looks like it'll stick out. So I'm going to right mouse click on that. And let's see. I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to save the image, and I'm going to save it as, I'm going to go onto the desktop. Here is my I Love Mo. Now, this is one time where you typically don't put this in the images, you put it out here. All right, and I'm going to call it favicon.ico. That's typically the name that's given to it. Now, that said, let's go back into here. All right, and there's the favicon, and let's see what size it is. Oh, I don't like this. It's got both of them in here. I don't like that at all. I'm not going to use this one. That's a terrible one. So let's go back and look again. So that looks like it's, how about that one right there? That looks kind of neat. So we will again bring that up. I'm going to right mouse click. It'll have shutter stock on it, but that's okay. Save image as. I'm going to save it right over what I did before. So favicon.ico. It'll beep and say it already exists. Yes, I want to replace it. But now when I come in, hopefully it's going to be just this. There it is. Now the size of it right now, if I click on resize and go to pixels, it's pretty big. I'm going to knock it way the hay down to like 32 by 32. So you can see how small it got. All right, and I'm going to save it. So again, I'm going to save it as the same thing we had before, favicon.ico. And again, I want to save it to my I Love Mo, and right there. Yes, I want to replace what's in there. Sure, it's telling me that it. Well, let's look at this then. All right. So let's remove this one. I'm going to move it there. And I'm going to come back into here. And I'm going to save file, save as, and see if I can save it now. So favicon.ico. Something about this that it doesn't like, but hopefully it saved that. It says Paint cannot save the file. It was interrupted, so your file has not been saved. Well, that isn't good news, but let's just see what it did do here. All right, I moved that one out here, so let's see what it looks like. And it's not taking it for whatever reason. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm just going to do a save image as, and it's a WebP file, which might be the reason it's giving me problems. I don't know. But I'm going to call this arch.png. Okay, and hopefully it saved that. It saved it okay. So let's see. There's Arch. And there it is. So I'm going to do again, I'm going to go over to File, not File. I'm going to go over to Home. And to resize, and I want to resize this. And I want it to be basically, again, 32 by 32. And I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to see if now it lets me save it. I don't know if it will or not. Favicon.ico. It's not taking it, and I don't know why. See if it takes it like this. Okay, it took that. I think I'm still going to have the same problem here. I don't want it to be saved as this type of file. All right, so I now have this. I don't know if what I'm about to do will work or not work, but we'll see. All right, it says now that I have it right there. So let's look. Looks like it's the right size, etc. Now, I'm sorry that I went off on a tangent here with this, and it's already got me over 20 minutes. So let me stop right here.